Good afternoon. Here is the midday news on OGBC. I'm Debo Adeyinka. First, the major items. Ogun State government motor avert flooding. The federal government is collaborating with the European Union on technology. South African president has announced new cabinet. The Ogun State government erosion control intervention to prevent the loss of lives and property in the state. The Senior Special Assistant to Governor Dabo on Flood and Erosion Control, Mr. Femi Akinwumi, who made this known, informed that the exercise involves the dredging of stream cases as well as the desilting of drainage channels statewide. According to Mr. Akinwumi, the intervention, which commenced in various parts of the state days ago, is complementing its annual flood mitigation efforts. He noted that in addition to the dredging, the state government has commenced massive desilting of drainage channels across the state, especially in the state capital, Abeokuta, Songwater, Ijebu-Ode, and Ilesha, with other cities and towns also slated for the exercise soon. He also warned traders in markets and streets to place planks and makeshift structures on top of drainage channels to remove them to avoid violating the state environmental laws. Lagos State Governor Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu on Sunday flagged out the reintroduction of monthly environmental sanitation campaign in Lagos. Governor Sanwo-Olu called for the cooperation of all residents and stakeholders in making the exercise a success. He also condemned the displacement of manholes and demolition of government property meant to prevent flooding and environmental issues in the state. The governor called the attention of residents to flooding and the hazards being caused by congested drains, saying that such act is not acceptable. He urged residents to preserve and protect their environment from flood and environmental issues, warning that the government of warning that the Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Works and Infrastructure were going to be setting up task force day to ensure compliance, and there are huge consequences for whoever is caught. Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kaudi Egbetokun, has ordered the immediate suspension of the July 29th plan to commence the enforcement of the East Central Motor Registry (ECMR). The Force Public Relations Officer, ACP Olumewa Adejobi, stated this in Abuja this Monday. ACP Adejobi said the suspension was to give ample opportunity for mass enlightenment and education of the public on the progress, benefits, and effectiveness of the ECMR. According to him, officers found extorting or exploiting the public on the guise of not having ECMR certificates will be sanctioned. He added that the enforcement will be done by only dedicated officers from a date to be announced later. Former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, has urged those wishing Nigeria disintegrate to perish to thought, predicting that the country would continue to remain a united nation. General Buratai, who laid this out in Osogbo, Osun State on Sunday, informed that those agitating that the country disintegrate must be ready to carve out their own path, while noting that the experience of the war had taught Nigerians that agitation to divide the country would always fail. General Buratai called for unity to further enhance Nigeria's development. He advised Nigerians to embrace peace and focus on development, advising that the country should work more to cement its unity by taking concrete actions that would bring about development. The federal government is collaborating with the European Union to use technology to unlock great potentials to revive Nigeria's economy. The Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Mr. Uche Nnaji, made this known at the just concluded Nigeria EU Innovation Day seminar in Lagos. Mr. Nnaji said the collaboration between the European Union and the federal government will help to enhance research in technology, innovation, advanced technology development, and unlock Nigeria's potentials to explore the world of technology. The minister, who was represented at the event by the Director General, National Space Research and Development Agency, Dr. Matthew Adepoju, said technology innovation remained the engine of economic growth of any nation. Stakeholders who attended the forum expressed confidence that the EU Africa Innovation Agenda would be a game changer that would unlock Africa's vast potentials. You are listening to the Midday News on OGBC. Of a new cabinet for a month. after elections stripped his African National Congress party of its majority. President Cyril Ramaphosa named 32 ministerial positions of the Government of National Unity late on Sunday, following weeks of deadlock that delayed the formation of an historic announcement says 20 of the 32 posts going to the ANC and 6 will be filled by the Democratic Alliance DA party, with the remaining positions split among a crowd of smaller coalition parties. President Ramaphosa was forced into the unprecedented power sharing arrangement with DA and others after his party, a dominant force in South African politics since the end of the apartheid era, lost 15 parliamentary majority for the first time since 1994 in elections in May the 29th. Rwandans have begun voting in the country's presidential and legislative elections, which are poised to extend long-time leader President Paul Kagame's tenure another 5 years. Polling stations opened at about 7 a.m. local time across the East African country, where more than 9 million people are registered to participate. President Kagame, who has been Rwanda's de facto leader for 3 decades, is almost certain to retain the presidency, facing only two challenges after the Rwandan courts banned his most prominent critics. The outlook mirrors that of the last election in 2017, when President Kagame dominated his rivals with close to 99% of the vote. The US President, Mr. Joe Biden, has condemned the assassination attempt on his predecessor, Mr. Donald Trump, in a prime-time address from the White House, telling Americans that US politics must never be a killing field. The presumptive Republican nominee for president, Mr. Trump, was wounded in the air after a gunman opened fire at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. One person was killed and two more were critically injured in the attack. In the Oval Office address during the third of his presidency, President Biden urged Americans to take a step back and warned that political rhetoric in the country has gotten very heated. The president called on Americans to increasing political polarization meant November's election would be a time. David Lammy has called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza during his first visit to Israel and the Palestinian territories as Foreign Secretary. Mr. Lammy also urged the release of all hostages held in Gaza and an increase in the flow of aid to the territory. The newly appointed minister held talks with Israeli Prime Minister Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa on Sunday. He is due to meet Israeli President Mr. Isaac Herzog and families of some hostages who also expressed frustration over lack of British trucks entering Gaza after months of asking and complaints from aid agencies about deliveries being blocked or delayed by complex inspections imposed by the Israeli military. On sport, Argentina beat Colombia 1-0 to win a record 16th Copa America title, but the game was marred by the kickoff being delayed by 80 minutes because of trouble outside the ground in Miami. Lautaro Martinez struck in the second half of the extra time from Giovanni Lo Celso's through ball to secure the win. Martinez ended up as the tournament top-scorer with 5 goals. Flood is avoidable. Let us avoid acts capable of causing flooding. To end the midday news, another look at the major items. The senior special assistant to Governor Dr. Abiodun Flood and Erosion Control, Mr. on Sunday, informed that the Ogun State government has embarked on a flood and erosion control intervention to prevent the loss of life and property. At the just concluded Nigeria EU Innovation Day seminar in Lagos, the Minister of Innovation and Technology, Mr. Uche Nnaji, said the federal government was collaborating with the European Union to use technology to unlock the potentials to revive the nation's economy. We also told you that South Africa's President, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, on Sunday announced the formation of a new cabinet more than a month after elections stripped his African National Congress Party of its majority. The midday news was edited by Tony Oyelumade and broadcast from all programs and the latest news updates. Please visit our website www.openradio.ng.